I think the interest in cars are part of your DNA. It's not like something you decide on. I've been crazy about cars and motorcycles since the day I was born. My mother wrote in my baby book at age 2, Bruce loves anything with wheels, and that's never changed. When I was growing up, if somebody said I was going to have a cool car, I would think, not sure how that's going to happen, or 2 cool cars. And then all of a sudden you get a 2-car garage and you got 2 cool cars. And I just kept expanding my garage at home, outgrew that, and along came the Pearson Museum, and I've put a lot of cars in there over the years and still do. I really just kind of run out of room again, so I figured it was the perfect storm. I was turning 70 when I put this together, and I thought I'll just paint it white, throw my cars in here, and be up and running. It'd be a little birthday present to myself. That's kind of how it happened. I'm Bruce Meyer, and this is my home away from home. My home away from the Pearson Automotive Museum, where I was chairman and now currently vice chairman. But this is where I come to relax and immerse myself in some automotive history and fine art of the automobile. I don't think of myself as a collector. I think of myself as an enthusiast, because every single car and motorcycle we have, with the exception of a couple race motorcycles or dragsters and so forth, they're cars that we drive and we rally, so I use them all. What moves me into buying a car is the story. It has to have a great owner, or won a race, or done something extraordinary. So the story is what really sells me on a particular car or motorcycle. And number 2, equally important, it's just got to be the design. It has to just really move me. So I think throughout the garage, I think you'll see a combination of history and aesthetics. There can be the most important historical hot rod or motorcycle anywhere, and if it doesn't look good, it's just not for me. The Porsche 935, the K3, is one of my all-time favorites. I actually bought my first Porsche in 1960, so I've been driving Porsches for 55 years. So I've always been partial to Porsches. Porsche was raced by the Kremer brothers, Erwin and Manfred Kremer, and they were kind of the AMG for Porsche. They would take the best that the production could bring and then they added to it. They took a brand new 935 and they made 100 changes on it. And some of them very, very subtle. But he said it gave us a 1% advantage, which is all we needed to win the race. And they did. And that car won first overall at Le Mans in 1979, which for a production-based car is pretty darn rare. This Daytona is a real special boat. It's what they call a step hydro, and it was built in 1929. And what makes it extra special to me is it has a Miller marine engine, and Harry Miller is based right here in Los Angeles, and an absolute racecraft and engineering genius. And he and Leo Goosen built the Miller engine. And so that's a genuine 221 Miller marine engine. That's worth more than the boat. And it was built for what they call the grapefruit circuit back in Florida, back in the late 20s when money was flowing and the very wealthy families would put together race boats. And this has to be the state of the art. You can look at the other boats that are raced with. Nobody had an exact idea how to make it go fast. You sat on the transom, front engine, extended rear prop, step hydro design. So this boat, again, just checked every box for me. And it was driven by Wilbur Shaw, who was a 3-time Indy winner, so it had a great pilot and had a wonderful race history. Giotto Bizzarini is a name, not a household name to many car lovers, but if you're a Ferrarista, you might have heard that name because he was head of the race department at Ferrari. But the A3C, which you see here, is pure Bizzarini. Inboard brakes, mid-front engine, super low, aerodynamic, an extremely technical car that you wouldn't believe how technical it is just by a first glance, but it's great looking. It finished in the top 10 at Le Mans, that very car, and won its class. And it's got a 327 Chevy engine in it with, 4 side draft Webers, and it's just a spectacular car. Not a lot of people know about it, so we'll spread that word. The motorcycles are kind of a varied group. The Matchless is what I raced back in the early 60s. The twin-engine Triumph was an amazing drag racing success. It won the championship of Europe. The Triumph, it is a TT Special, and that was what I had in 1967, and I dated my wife on that bike, and that was my favorite bike, and still is one of my most favorite bikes. The BSA Gold Star was owned by John Surtees. We've got his ownership papers from Europe. And the BSA below it is a flat track bike owned by Bobby Sarkeesian, and he raced Daytona with that bike. And then the number 59 bike is a bike we just finished last year, and it's a tribute bike to Skip Van Leeuwen. The first Corvette that ever to run Le Mans was Briggs Cunningham. 1, 2, and 3. So that car, being a patriot and loving Corvettes, just fit my style, and I raced it at Goodwood, and we've done rallies in it, and it's a great running car. And it was one of a 3-car team that won its class, and it's important to me. The Pearson Brothers Coupe was an amazingly beautiful and successful race car. And it was built by Bob and Dick Pearson, with the help of Bobby Meeks. So they put a chop on that car, which is just admired by many. And because you had to have a 6-inch windshield, it didn't say it had to be 6 inches tall, just 6 inches long. So it was like this, 6 inches, not like this 6 inches. And the car went 150 miles an hour. It was the world's fastest coupe, with a flathead engine built by Bobby Meeks, who worked for Vic Edelbrock. So the engine that's in there now, thanks to Vic Edelbrock and Edelbrock Engineering, is one of Bobby's engines. But the car was on the cover of Hot Rod magazine, and it was admired by everybody. Well, I've been in this space since 1968, so it's been 47 years here. And I've always looked at this space as a great, convenient place to display something, whether it's contemporary art or motorcycles or cars. You get to a certain point in life, and I'm in my mid-70s, that you decide, I'm not compromising anymore. I've had friends that have passed on, and I just want to put together what would be a fun place that I can enjoy with my friends. This is not a public space, it's not for rent, it's just a place where I can enjoy my cars and bikes. As I get older, and hopefully a little wiser, I realize that all these cars and motorcycles really are for our enjoyment, and none of this do we take with us. That if we're fortunate enough to be the custodian or the caretaker, we can preserve history, and I think that's my mission.